Hi children, I welcome you all to my English class of 8. Today let's have a look on the past of India. We all know that in the past many foreigners came to India for the purpose of trade such as Portuguese, Dutch and French. And why the British came to India? Their primary objective was to earn profits as traders. But after knowing more about India and the Indian rulers, they started to develop political interests here, and the British East India Company extended their control by defeating Indian rulers. They were looking for money in the form of land revenue or profit from trade, and they initiated the process of expanding their political power in India by the victory in the Battle of Plassey in 1757. It was the start of nearly 2 centuries of British rule in India, and they started to earn more and more from India. But the Indians lost their lives and livelihoods due to this British rule. And this chapter, Glimpses of the Past, it talks about history of India from 1757 to 1857 till the First War of Independence, that is in 1857. And this chapter, Glimpses of the Past, it's written by S.D. Sawant. First, let me tell you about the author. He is an Indian novelist in Marathi literature. He wrote the famous novel Mrityunjay. He was a writer, teacher, and an editor. And this chapter, Glimpses of the Past, it's a pictorial representation of 9 main incidents of the First War of Independence. They are the Martyrs, the company's conquest, British rule, Ram Mohan Roy, oppression, dissatisfaction, the Sparks, revolt of 1857, and the fight for freedom. And the first one is the Martyrs. And what is the meaning of martyrs? It means that those who died in war. In this picture, you can see a function in Delhi, and you also can see that the famous singer Lata Mangeshkar is singing a patriotic song about the martyrs who gave up their life for independence. And leaders such as Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi are listening to the song. And in the next picture, you can see that Jawaharlal Nehru is reminder of Gandhiji, Bhagat Singh, Netaji, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Jhansi Rani, and many other freedom fighters. And the next one is that the company's conquest from 1757 to 1849. In this part, it's describing about how East India Company took its control over place and people of India. Let me read this. With its superior weapons, the British East India Company was extending its power in 18th century India. Company's superior weapon means that with the British East India Company's strength, rules and regulations, company was extending its power in 18th century India. And you can also have a look at the map of India in 1765, where you can see that the major portions were the major portions it was in yellow color. The major portion was in yellow color. And these major yellow portions were under Indian princes, and pink portion, can you see the pink portion, which was under the British territory. Indian princes were short-sighted. That abstract Rajabha called the English merchants. They will help me to defeat him. And the people had no peace due to such constant fights. The rivalries helped the East India Company, and it could easily subdue Indian princes one by one. And why it is said that the Indian princes were short-sighted? What's the meaning of short-sighted? The Indian princes were narrow-minded. And why they were called so? The Indian princes were short-sighted because the Indian princes were always engaged in fighting with one another, and they also asked the help of the British to fight against the other prince. And the British supported one Indian prince to finish the other. As a result, power passed on to their hands, and due to these constant fights, the people had no peace. And the rivalries between the Indian princes helped the East India Company to subdue, what's the meaning of subdue? To overpower the Indian princes one by one. A far-seeing ruler like brave Chippu of Mysore fought the British till he died fighting. In this picture, you can see Tippu Sultan. He was the ruler of Mysore, and he was a far-sighted ruler. What's the meaning of far-seeing? Far-seeing ruler means careful and wise. He was a wise ruler, and he fought against the British till he died in fighting. How did Indians react to these conquests? Thank God there is peace in the country now. No more wars and no more looting by thugs. It's God who sent the British. Our destiny is linked with them. The white man has killed or dethroned our kings. Some kings were not good, but after all, they were of this land. Now we have become slaves of foreigners. So here it is discussing about how did Indians react to these conquests. In India, in 1757, British held a very strong position, and many people reacted to these situations differently. Some thought that the Britishers were helping them, and they said that God, it is God who sent the British. And some said that no more war and now no looting also. But while there was another group of people, they thought that they were being enslaved by the British, and rivalry or enmity among the rulers helped the British to dethrone those who didn't obey them. What's the meaning of dethrone? Dethrone means to remove some kings from power. So the British also dethroned. Dethrone means British officers removed some kings from power also. In this part, we are going to discuss about the British rule from 1765 to 1836. The religious leaders, you can say, religious leaders preached ideas like untouchability and child marriage. Anyone who crosses the sea loses his religion, and all the misery in the world is due to women. The religious leaders they started preaching the practices like untouchability and child marriage. And what is untouchability? It's a direct product of the caste system. It is a practice of discriminating various individuals and groups based on their caste and jobs done by them. So at that time, the religious leaders they preached the practices like untouchability and child marriage. The truth was that Indians had lost self-respect, and the British scorned them. The natives are unworthy of trust, incapable of honesty. True, your honor, but I'm honest. So here, the religious leaders they they said that if anyone who would cross the sea would lose his religion, and they also believed that all the misery in the world is due to women. And the Indians, due to this British rule, the Indians they lost their self-respect, and the British took the advantage of this. And the British started to humiliate Indians, and they said that we can't believe them, we can't trust them. Being merchants, the British wanted quick profits. Their heavy taxes forced farmers to abandon their fields. But your men are taking all my crop. You are still in arrears. If you don't pay next week, I will send you to jail. Still, the British invented other methods which gave them more profits. The goods manufactured in England should not have any import duty when brought to India. A good idea. The East India Company's laws began to cripple Indian industries, and the British wanted quick profits, so they imposed heavy taxes on the goods made by the Indian farmers, and these taxes forced the peasants to leave their fields, and this led to famines. This led to famines. It was between 1822 to 1836. During this famine, 15 lakh Indians were died due to starvation. Indians died. This led to this starvation, which led to famines between 1822 to 1836, which killed 15 lakh Indians because they didn't have jobs, and they lost their jobs due to heavy taxes imposed on goods, and they couldn't pay the taxes, which forced them to leave their jobs, which led them to starvation. But the British started other methods to get profits, and they brought a law. They passed a law that is the goods that are manufactured in England would not have any import duties when brought to India, and this started crippling the Indian industries. And the British policies ruined the expert artisans and their business. The British rulers ruined the expert artisans and their business. Artisan is an expert or skilled manual worker, or we can call him craftsman. And this group of artisans suffered a lot because the British extracted very high taxes from them, and the Indian goods lost their demand in markets because the market was flooded with imported English goods, and these goods didn't have to pay import duty. Thus, the British in this way ruined the skilled Indians. But the worst thing they had done to them was they cut the thumbs of artisans so that they will never thrive, which means that they will never grow or develop again in their business. And the white rulers were chiefly traders, and their aim was to make profits at all costs. Hence, they began to ruin Indian industries, and they imposed heavy taxes on farmers, and they destroyed Indian cottage industries in order to sell good manufactured things from England. And their goods didn't have taxes also. In this way, their business flourished, while the Indian industries died. Thus, the British made the Indians weak as well as poor. Next, I am going to tell you about Raja Mohan Roy. He is known as the father of modern India. He was a scholar from Bengal, and he knew Different languages like Sanskrit, Persian, Hindi, Bengali, English, and Arabic. And he was a religious, educational, and social reformer. He was widely known for his role in the abolition of practices like sati and child marriage, and he tried to convince the people that not to follow those unreligious practices like untouchability and child marriage. He was against untouchability and child marriage. Ram Mohan Roy, he learned Ram Mohan Roy, a learned man from Bengal, understood what was wrong with the country. Let us not despise ourselves. Our ancient culture is great, and we are capable of greater achievements. We must first reform our society. Superstitions have been ruining us. He told his wife Uma, cows are of different colors, but the color of their milk is the same. Different teachers have different opinions, but the essence of every religion is the same. Here he wants to tell us that all religion, here he wants to tell us that all religion are same. That is, every religion teaches the same principles. And he understood what was wrong with the country means he realized the problems happening in the country. And his, and he asked the people to throw out superstitions and to feel proud of their culture. And he asked people to throw out superstitions. He asked them not to believe in superstitions and they should be proud of their culture and their society and their great achievements. They should be proud of that. And he also said that cows are of different colors, but the color of their milk is the same. Different teachers have different opinions, but the essence of every religion is the same. By this, he means that all religions are same. That is, every religion teaches the same principles. He was attracted by science and modern knowledge. He said, knowledge should be practical and scientific. He was more fascinated by science and modern knowledge. He started many schools to educate Indians in Western and scientific education in English because he regarded education as an effective vehicle to achieve social reform. He crossed the seas and went to England to see what made the British powerful. There he told them, we accept you as rulers, and you must accept us as subjects. But you must remember the responsibility of a ruler owes to his subjects. Raja Mohan Roy went to England to see what made the British so powerful. Then he told them that Indians accepted them as rulers, so they must accept Indians as their subjects. He also reminded of the responsibility of a ruler owed to his subjects. So he went to England to talk to British people and he tried to convince them that if they are ruling the country, they have to look after their subjects too. He started newspapers, but the suspicious British stopped them in 1823. He also started a newspaper through which he tried to communicate with people about the problems existed, and they were suspicious of these people. The British were suspicious of this newspaper, and they stopped the newspaper in 1823. The next one is oppression. But the British continued to oppress Indians. In 1818, they had passed Regulation 3. Under it, an Indian could be jailed without trial in a court. In 1818, the British had passed Regulation 3. Under this Regulation Act, an Indian could be jailed without a trial in court. All the time, British officers in India drew big salaries and also made fortunes in private business. By 1829, Britain was exporting British goods worth 7 crore rupees to India, and the British prospered on the company's loot while Indian industries began to die. And the British officers, they started making money, and they got huge salaries, and they also made fortunes in private business. By the end of 1829, the British exported goods from Britain to India, which were 7 crore rupees. As a result, Britain prospered while the Indian industries began to decline. Governor-General Bentinck reported back home, "The bonds of cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India." The Governor-General Bentinck reported back to his country that the bonds of cotton weavers are bleaching the plains of India. What does this line mean? It means that what is the meaning of this line? It means that due to the British policies and their unnecessary rules and regulations, cotton weavers lost their jobs, lost their occupations, and their misery is a sad picture in the plains of India. So let's continue the chapter in the next part. Thank you.